Hello everyone, welcome to part 6 of this Excel for supply chain tutorial. In this video we are going to discuss data validation. So first let us understand what is data validation. Data validation basically means putting some checks on your data such that the user cannot enter the wrong input. Now why is it important is because when you create a spreadsheet, it is very likely that other people will be entering the data. And if the data is wrong, you cannot make summaries out of that data, or you need to spend a lot of time cleaning that data. And the most important benefit that and the most important benefit of data validation is that you can create fully automatic reports. That means whenever someone enters the data, you can create automatic summaries out of that data, automatically reports out of that data. So if the data is wrong, your report will be wrong. So it's important that you place right checks on your data such that user cannot input the data that you do not want to go into particular cell. So let us jump right in and see what is data validation. In this table, we want to create the following checks. We want to create a drop down in factory, buyer, and man and women column. We want to restrict the entry in ship quantity column such that the value of ship quantity cannot exceed more than the cut quantity, because it is not possible. Now the file that I am using right now, this you can find on this repository, the link for which I have posted in the description box below, so that if you want to practice or refer to what has been done, you can use this file. So let us start by creating the drop down in factory. So it is a good practice that whatever data validation lists you are creating, you place them in a separate sheet, because it is very, if you put it here, it is likely that if you insert new rows or new columns, the position may get changed and your list may get messy. So it is a good practice to always maintain a separate spreadsheet for your lists. So I want to create a factory drop down list with these values. I have already written the values here. I go back to my sheet, select the range, click on data, and click on this button. This opens a dialog box where I can now put a check whatever I want to put on this particular range of cell. Here we want to do a list. So click on the list. Now it is asking me the source of the list. We have already created our list. I will click on that button, go to data validation and select this 3 cells. Here I have an option of putting the input message and error alert. Input message means that whenever you are selecting the cell, it will tell the users what kind of inputs this particular cell is expecting. Error alert means whenever a user entering wrong data, it will tell the users what is the error. Okay. So I click here. I do not want to put input message and error alert right now. I'll click OK, and you can see that the list has been created. Here it is showing me an error for factory 3 and 4 because the spacing is not matching. So I will just correct it. It is corrected now. Similarly, we are going to create drop down list for buyer and men and women. I have already entered data here. I go back here, I select the range, data, click on this button, list, and source. This is for buyer and again for men and women. Okay, so you can see that the values are created. Now what happens if I, let's say, try to enter value which is not present in the validation? It gives me an error. This value doesn't match the data validation restriction defined on this cell. Now you can change the data validation by again selecting the range. Click here. This time you can either change the range here, but I want to improve the error here. I would say that the value does not match does not match, please check the values in the data validation sheet and then correctly enter. Okay, so let's enter some value here, click here. Okay, please check the value of the data sheet and then correctly enter. So this is good. You can do the same for men and women, it's fine. Let us see what are the different types of data validations that you can put inside a cell. I will select the ship quantity here, click here. It shows me the different checks that I can put on the data. Whole number, that means I can give a range of values that will go inside a cell. I have different options of selecting what is the condition that I want to put, and then there is a range of selection. Input message and error alert, just like before, we can put an input message and error, whatever we want to show. Same for decimal. List we have already seen. For date, you can specify the range of date. For time also a range of time. Text length, you can specify the maximum and minimum number of characters that the cell can hold. So custom is where we want to uh, restrict the values in a cell based on value of some other cell, or we want to put a formula to restrict the values. So this condition where we want to restrict the value in ship quantity cell, we want to put a condition that ship quantity cannot exceed the cut quantity. So I am selecting custom here and I'll put the formula here, which is ship quantity should be less than equal to cut quantity, and I put OK here. You can see it is already showing me an error because I had already entered value here. Let us see if it is allowing me to enter. 1, it is allowing me. 2, it is allowing me. As soon as I click 3, it is not allowing me because ship quantity cannot exceed cut quantity realistically. Okay, so this is done. We have seen list and custom, and these are the other data validations that you can put. So this is it in data validation. Please make sure that whatever spreadsheets that you are creating, you think of all the possibilities where the data may go wrong and try to restrict as much entries as possible, because the more data validations you are going to put, the better your spreadsheet is going to become, and it is more scalable. So thank you. See you in the next video.